I'm going to talk about utilizing AI tools to analyze your qualitative data. For the past year or so, we have seen that there's a lot of AI tools that are coming, some promising, some are also very good. And as researchers, we just have to make sure that we are aware of the software and think about the best way of utilizing them in an ethical way. You have to be very responsible using it to make our work very easy. And also you have to be transparent in using this software. So today I'm going to talk to you about some of the AI tools that will be very helpful when you're analyzing your qualitative data. But before I talk about these tools, there are some basic information that I want to share with you. Without having basic understanding of how to analyze your data, you might not be able to use the software very well. So having the foundational knowledge of how to analyze your qualitative data is very important. So what is qualitative analysis? It's all about data reduction. You have received a lot of information from participants, or you have gathered a lot of information, and you cannot just throw all the information to your audience. So what do you have to do? You have to reduce it, but you have to reduce the data in such a way that people will understand what you found from participants with a research question in mind. So qualitative analysis is all about data preparation. You are preparing the data, you are reducing the data, you are representing the data using tables and diagrams. You are summarizing the data so that it will be very meaningful to help you to address your research question that you have, or to meet the needs of people who want to receive that information. There are 4 things that you have to think about, 4 processes, right? We start with coding. Coding is all about identifying significant information from the data and assigning labels to them, all right? And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And then we also have to think about sorting. After you have coded your data, you have to group the code into categories, and then you'll be able to develop the themes. Sometimes you want to find out a connection between them, right? To maybe come up with a statement that best represents what participant has given to you, at the same time helping you to address your research question. And sometimes you want to develop a theory. You'll be able to analyze your data and develop a theory if you have enough data. So these are basic understanding about qualitative analysis that you have to have before you use any AI tool. My book is very good if you want to get a basic understanding of how to analyze your qualitative data. And I have the link there, you can get access to it. There are so many tools that we have out there, but I just want to focus on the popular ones, the ones that are reliable in terms of people who develop this kind of tool. So we have the Bing Chat, we have Bird, we have Perplexity AI, we have Claude.ai, and we have ChatGPT. If you want some information and you want the system to also give you a link that you can also click on and go to access that information, then the first 3 will be very good for you. But if you want to analyze your qualitative data, I would recommend the last 2, right? Mainly ChatGPT. And I'm going to show you how to use them. And if you have any question, I'll be happy to address them for you. Before I talk about these 2 tools, there are some 3 basic things that you have to understand about AI tools that we have, right? You have heard about pre-trained. So pre-trained means that they have fed a lot of information to the AI tool or the model. We call it unsupervised learning. So you just give the information to the system, learn the patterns in language and the relationship between words, so that at the end of the day, they can predict the next word. So as you can see in this one, if I type qualitative research, is the system go through potential next word and then randomly select one of them and put it here. The second one is, it's not only predicting the next word, it's randomly, right? So this means that's why when you ask the same question 2 times, you get different response, but similar meaning. Why do you get different response? Because the system has been made in such a way that it can choose from the potential next word, but randomly. So next time you can choose maybe type, like this one. Qualitative research is a type. The system chose the type. It can choose maybe research. Qualitative research is a research of, right? You can see here that it shows research here, right? So the system just predict the next word, but in a random way, so that when you ask them a question, you will not receive the same response. They always want to make the system behave like human beings. Let's say you are having a conversation with participants, you are interviewing them, and you ask them the same question 2 times. They might give you a similar answer, but the choice of words will be very different. So the system has been made in such a way that it's trying to mimic how we have conversation with people. We also call it reinforcement learning with human feedback. So as we communicate with the system, it also learns our response. So let's say when you ask the system a question and you get a response, and if you don't like, you can give a feedback and the system will learn. So as we continue to have communication with the AI tool becomes better. That's why the AI tools that are around are increasingly performing well, because we are having continuous communication with the system and we are continuously providing them feedback to improve. So the system will get better as time goes on, right? But there are some limitations that you have to be aware of before you use. There are 3 main limitations. The first one is it can provide you a biased output. If the system was fed with biased information, there's high probability that when you ask questions, they're going to give you biased results. Think about this one. The same thing as you are interviewing participants. If participants have been fed with biased information or information that is not balanced, when you ask questions about their views of something, it will reflect the information that the person is presenting to you. And it can also confidently give you false information. It can give you unreliable information. So that's another thing that you have to think about. And the last one is, although I've provided you basic information about how the system thinks and process information and bring that information to us, we still don't totally understand how it's provide outputs. We can also do to help is that when you ask any AI to a question, you can also ask, how did you come up with this answer? So that you may understand the process that a system passed through to get a specific answer. So these are the 3 main things that you have to be aware. And I have some links here that talks more about it. If you want to read more, that would be great. For ChatGPT, if you are using a free version, you can only put in up to 2,500 words. Let's say you have a transcript, it should be about 2,500 words at a time that you can give it to the system. And for Claude.ai, it's about 75,000 words, right? So when it comes to giving information to the system to process, Claude.ai is very good, right? In terms of uploading documents, you can upload it. But for ChatGPT, if you have a free version, you can copy the data and paste it in the system and ask questions. In terms of availability, ChatGPT is everywhere. Claude.ai is now in the US and UK. They might expand it, but if you have VPN, you can try and see whether you'll be able to get access to it. If you want a system to produce a table, you can do that, but for Claude.ai, you cannot do that. In terms of reinforcement learning, so reinforcement learning is all about giving the system feedback as we receive an output. So if you receive an output, you can say that this output, I like it, or this one, I don't like it. You are providing feedback so that the system can improve. Claude.ai is a little bit different because they don't use human feedback mainly. They use, we call it set principles, constitutional AI. They have a principle that don't give out any information that is harmful. Don't give out information that is against human rights. So they have some basic principles that a system has to obey, right? I think Claude.ai is doing good work. And that's why Google has invested 300 million in this company. Amazon has invested 4 billion in this new company. So they are now competing with ChatGPT. So it's going to be a very interesting times as we are going on. There's a lot of good AI tools that are coming. We just have to be aware and use them in an efficient way. And how can you be aware? You just have to use it and see how it can help you to improve what you do. If you ignore it and you don't use it, what will happen is that you may not be efficient in doing your work and you'll be left behind. A project that can take you a week to do using a software can give you maybe a few days. So I always recommend that Try to think about how can I use it in a way that is efficient, ethical, a way that you are responsible in using that, in a way that makes your work very easy. In terms of data analysis, one thing that you have to think about is prompting, asking the system a question, giving a command. Imagine you're an interview participant. We always say that ask simple questions. Ask one question at a time. Be ready to ask follow-up questions if the response is not all that clear or you need more information. Use the same skill in prompting. So think about CEO. You have to give a clear prompt. You can also give an example because the system learns from examples. And also the output, you can also specify, do you want the system to put it in the table format for you? Do you want the system to extract information? You are just telling the system how you want the output to look like. So this is a simpler way of prompting. It's just having a wonderful communication with the system, as if you are talking to your fellow researcher or your research assistant. When you're analyzing data, there are 5 things that you have to think about. Let's say you have a data. Sometimes you want to get a general information about the data. You can tell the system to generate a general summary. We call it general summarization. You can also tell the system to summarize the data based on a specific objective or a specific research question. You can tell the system to extract significant information from the data for you. You can tell the system to develop codes. Codes are phrases that represent the significant information. You can tell the system to categorize the code and develop themes. Let's start with the general summarization. The prompt is that you can say, can you provide a summary based on what I have provided? So this means that you're going to provide the system your data and then ask the system to summarize it for you. And also the output, I want the system to give me not more than 200 words. So let's try it and see, right? So when you go here, you click on this one, right? New chat. I'm using, let me show you the data I'm going to use so that you can follow me. And you can also do the same thing I'm doing. I'm opening this document, right? So this document has all the transcript for all the 5 participants that I have, right? So you see the first participant with demographic information and their response, right? It's not a lot. This is just for demonstration. So what you do is copy everything and you go to ChatGPT. Remember, we are using the free version. I'm not using the paid version. I'm using the free version. So first, I just paste that information, and then I go up here and type my command. Let me look for the command. So my command is, can you provide a summary? This is my command. I want also the summary to be not more than 200 words, right? So this is the command I provided. Let's see. So it's processing. So as you can see here, the system has given a summary, provided information about the first participant, who they are, also provide information about the second participant and what the second participant. This is a general summary because you are not asking the system to do it based on a specific research question, right? You just want the system to review and provide you a summary. So that's the first one. Let's try the second prompt. We're going to ask the same thing, but now we're going to also indicate that this is our research question. What are the causes of burnout among primary healthcare physicians? That's my research question that I want to address. So I'm telling the system, can you summarize my data for me based on this research question? And I want it to be less than 200 words. So what I do is that I can just copy that. I've already given the system the data. So I copy and paste it here. And then let me go back to this one. I copy and go to the data and paste it here. It's focus summary because now you see how the system has provided me a summary based on my research question. So the research question is about the causes of burnout, workload and administrative tasks, and the system provided a definition of it and provided all these information. So I now have an idea about what my data is all about based on my research question. Then we can move to the next one. We see the list here. We have done the first one, general summarization. We have done focus. The next one, we want to extract excerpt. So when you are coding, I always say that have a background knowledge about how to code so that you understand the process very well when the system provides you some information. When you are going through a data with the research question in mind, you always have to think about what information in the data could help me to address my research question. Those are the significant information. So now we're going to tell the system, based on the research question that we have, can the system go and extract significant information from the data and give it to you, right? This is the prompt. Can you review the data and extract all portions addressing the following research question? So we copy that. And then you see how I've given an example. So I quoted information from the data and I get an example about the quote, how the quote should look like. So the system will be aware of what I want. So I'm going to copy this one. Let me copy. And we go to ChatGPT. We paste that. And then I come back to my PowerPoint and I copy an example so that the system will be aware of what I want. So, and you click on enter and let's see what we're going to get. The system didn't provide a lot of information. And this is another thing that you have to think about. The same way when you are interviewing participants, they might give a response that is not enough, right? So you might have to maybe rephrase the question a little bit so that you get what you want. So I can say that, can you provide me quotes from the data addressing the following research question? I copy the research question again so that the system will be aware and then enter. You see, the system is now understanding me. So now it's quoting participants. So you see the quote from the documents that I've provided, right? And another thing that you have to think about it, you see here, ChatGPT may provide inaccurate information about people, place, or fact. They have already told you that it can provide inaccurate information. So you always have to check whether all these codes are from the data. It's not like the system has generated something for you. So you always have to check. You can check a few of them and see, okay, is this information really from the data or the system just made it up? So it's very good for you to check. We can move to the next one about developing codes. We can say, can you develop code addressing the following research questions? So you can see that I copied that. And here I've provided an example. Also, I provided information about the output. So let's go there. Okay, so now I'm going to provide an example for the system to know what I want. So I will say, for example, the code for the following excerpts from the data, and then I put the excerpt there, having numerous work-related tasks will be, and I bring the code here. So you see how I've shown the system significant information and the code that should be used to represent. And then last one, you have to provide the output. You could, it's not required, but you just want the system to know that, okay, each code should be in between 2 to 5 words. So that's what you want. You can let the system know so that it will be providing you the information. So let's see what we're going to get. So you see here that now the system has provided me some codes, right? Maybe I should have said, provide me maybe 15 codes, because codes should be a lot, right? So that it capture everything. So I can say here, can you provide me close to 15 codes based on the data and addressing the research question provided. So sometimes you may not get what you want at the beginning. You have to ask further questions. You see, the system has provided me the information. Now we have developed code. We can go further and talk about categorizing the code to develop themes. So you see this one, can you categorize code leading to the development of themes addressing the following research question? And then for the output, I say that each theme should be in between 2 to 5 words, generate not more than 6 themes. So let me copy this one and paste it there and see what we're going to get. So let me copy that and go to ChatGPT. And then let me go back to the out. You see, the system has been able to develop themes and then group the codes under each of the themes. This is how you can do it to analyze your qualitative data, right? Let me quickly go to the second software about Claude.ai. And the good thing about this software, the good thing about this one is that you can upload up to 5 files. I have my 5 transcripts. So I select all of them and then put it in the system. Now you can ask the system a question, right? Can you summarize this data for me? It's like you are talking to your friend, right? So this is the general way of summarizing. You see, the system can easily summarize that information. So provided you some demographic information and also the reason behind the burnout and other information that you want to, and you can say, can you summarize based on the following research question? What are the causes of burnout? It's a little bit similar to what ChatGPT provided. You don't have to choose everything, right? You can choose some of the information. So this is also, think about, qualitative study, we talk about triangulation, right? You are looking at your data from different software. It's like you are talking to two people to get what you want. And that's what you are doing here. You are not only relying on one software.